Good morning from Washington, D.C. Just stayed Duo Hostel here on Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm walking towards the U.S. Capitol. I want to do a quick video about Ponzi schemes. On the drive up, I listened to the full documentary with Martin Armstrong, who was convicted of a felony. I don't want to spoil the documentary. I want everyone to listen to this documentary. But it's appropriate to talk about a Ponzi scheme that I feel like I'm in the middle of here in Washington, D.C. Ponzi scheme is where you take money from one to pay the debt you owe to another. And a little known fact that the last quarter of 2021, it may have been 2020, I'm not sure. If you consider that the Social Security payments in the US are considered interest payments after the Social Security Trust Fund was raided by the federal government in order to get a hold of all that cash to trick the budget. So if you consider Social Security payments as interest payments, which they in fact are after the trust fund's been raided, the federal government had to borrow money to pay interest. Think about if you or I had to borrow money to make interest payments on our debt. Like, what bank would allow you to sit there for more than a few minutes when you walk in and say, I want to borrow money. When are you going to pay it back? Oh, I'll never pay it back. I'm just going to have to borrow more money to pay back the money I already owe. Is that not the US system? We owe 30 trillion as a national debt, but the unfunded mandates are also a debt. You have all these pension programs all across the US, some with $300,000 a year pensions by police and firemen in these big states. And then there's the entitlements. The entitlements, the Social Security, the welfare, the food stamps. Then we have 12 aircraft carrier battle groups, 12. You have the aircraft carrier, but then you have all the planes and all the ships and all the Corvette ships, all whatever they're called, to maintain those 12 aircraft carriers. Think how expensive that is all around the world. So Martin Armstrong gets convicted of running a Ponzi scheme, and yet all the people, no one lost money. And 7 years after, he stayed in jail for civil contempt because he refused to turn over his computer program and computer code that would predict when a government might fall. And you've got to watch this documentary to really appreciate and understand what I'm talking about. But just think about that. He's convicted of running a Ponzi scheme. No one lost money, and yet the people who wanted his work product, are they not the ones running the Ponzi scheme? Are they not the ones that are participating in this massive borrowing? And Martin Armstrong also says that these people need a war with Russia in order to keep the money, in order to keep this Ponzi scheme alive. War keeps the Ponzi scheme alive. Very cynical view, but you have to kind of wonder how in the world, of course they're not going to be able to pay off this $30 trillion debt, which is going to be 33 trillion, which is going to be 40 trillion, which will be 50 trillion before this decade is up easily. So it's food for thought from Washington, D.C. Gorgeous, gorgeous city, wonderful city, very friendly people here. Thanks.